I did a thing. I built my own video editor. And you can see me smiling because like it's still kind of like crazy to me to think about it. But this just is what is reality now, it looks like, right? So long story short, I did do videos for a long time, and I have a very specific flow. So I usually just record in one go. I speak and record at the same time. And if I mess up, I just stop and then continue. And I kind of remember where the messing up was, and then I go in and cut out those pieces, and that's it. Maybe some zooming here and there, maybe like some outro if it is needed, but like very low level and low type of editing, so no heavy kind of animations, etc. And this kind of worked quite well. I just use ScreenFlow, even though kind of hate the software, but it works, and that's it. So I would have never thought about building a video editor, even though there was like a small me that was like, it would be cool if it would be more automated to what I do. So I don't have to go in and edit and cut it out, because it's like it's time consuming and not something that gives me a lot of leverage or value in general of my time. And so it just happened, I was on a live stream, like watching a live stream from Matt Pocock. By the way, you should follow him if you didn't already. Chances are high you already do. But if you're in agentic development and skills and agent skills, etc., that's his thing. Just go check it out and follow him. So I was listening to that live stream and on the side while doing some work. And then at some point he just mentioned, just by the way, oh, and I'm recording all of this with my own custom made video editor. And that immediately captured my attention. I was like, wait a minute, what? And then I looked at it, and it was actually pretty cool. So his whole concept was, and that's what inspired also me to actually go and do it, is to record clips. So you talk, and if you pause for like long enough, it will clip that out into its own thing. And then at the end of the video, you would have like a bunch of these clips that you stick together, and the video is already edited, and you can just export it and go. I was like, this is like how I do it basically, but automated. And the thing is, I didn't even go into it because I had no idea where to start, right? I roughly knew Matt did connect with OBS. I've been using OBS for live streaming, so it was something I knew, not in detail. But like I kind of like knew there's some like WebSocket connection you can leverage to actually get the stream of data and then process it, etc. So I was like, yeah, but the idea is sit there for a bit. And at some point, I think it might be when Faber was around and like hyped up, etc. I was like, fuck it. This is like one of those ideas, right, which I would have never attempted. So let's just go it. Let's just brainstorm through with an agent. Let's plan through and see where we go. In worst case, I'm throwing it away. It was a nice experiment, and that's it. And by the way, this is a big tip I want to give you. Like, try out these crazy ideas because it was never easier and more cheap to experiment. You can just do it on a side, look at it, and then if it works, it works, and you continue on it, which is what it did for me. So let me just dive in and show you how it actually works. Now, this is a bit weird because like I'm recording on ScreenFlow, this one, with my camera. So I'm gonna use another camera in here just to make sure it doesn't mess up with the ScreenFlow. So let me just try a demo recording. So by the way, this is my web application. So the whole video editor is a web application. It's obviously a server running on my machine here, and there's a bunch of other components interacting with it. I'm gonna show you super quickly the high-level architecture afterwards. But I just opted for a web app because like was the easiest to go with. I could potentially wrap it in a desktop app, but like I don't think it would give me a lot of benefits. So you just give it a title, and then you go in here, and you can see here I'm recording from my MacBook camera, just so we have it distinct. And on the background, there's also OBS running. So this is a scene that the tool, which by the way is called Ciak, as in like when you cut the scenes, like that's the Italian word for it. That was kind of a fun name, so let's just roll with it. Ciak sets this up for me. And so I can just run a Ciak Doctor on CLI that I built for that video editor. And so it will just like set up these scenes automatically if I mess them up for some reason, to make sure everything is kind of like in good shape in terms of zooming, etc. So here you can see, this is not my usual camera. So you can see there's these bars on the side, which is not optimal. I'm not gonna fix it now, but like, yeah, that's some of those things that Ciak would do. And then I have this virtual camera running, which is basically what is being captured in the web app as well. So how does it work? Let's just start recording. So I hit start, and then I talk through it. So you can see it counts down. All right, so this is a test recording I'm making for a potential YouTube video I'm producing, or maybe I'm going to even post it on Twitter. I don't even know yet. What I want to show off is how Ciak, this video editor, is clipping things. And so you can see here, I stopped for a bit and it already clipped one of these clips. Now this here is another clip I'm producing ad hoc. So you can see there's another one just popping up. But the one I'm currently speaking at, that's the one I'm going to reject. And that's the one that is not going to show up in the final editing. And then afterwards, I just can continue just talking as normal. You can see the rejected clip that I'm going to reject later is not going to show up. So this is the final one. Let's just wrap up this demo video. All right. And so do you see I just hit stop? It wraps it up. You can see these clips. Let me actually show the cuts. So you can see these have been these silences that it detected. And these are the different clips. And so I can now play it through. All right, so this is a test recording I'm making for... Now it looks a bit weird because like this background here, I need to fix it because it shows myself like recording the frame here. What I want to show off is how Ciak, this video editor, and you can see it just goes through seamlessly. Like it doesn't include the breaks. Okay, that's the whole point, right? So all these empty spaces in here where me just waiting to create another clip, so it just like jumps over them. And so if I here, for instance, would want to adjust that, I built this into this timeline where I can just like adjust here slightly these boundaries. Because in the end, all that is being recorded behind the scenes is like a full recording with start and end times that form up these clips. So I can go and adjust them in here. And this one would be the rejected one, right? I'm like, oh, this was awful. Let me just reject it. And so I can remove it here, or I can go in here. You can see I can restore it here as well if I want to, or I can just reject it here in this timeline. By the way, the timeline, you might have noticed now got transcribed. So these are the different clips here, just in a different order than here below, with the transcription. Now I'm doing this locally with Whisper CLI, and so it just like does this offline, which works pretty nicely. But the thing that I'm going to show you also afterwards is all of this is fully controllable by an agent. So that was one of the main design goals basically that I had, apart from just clipping and automatically editing. It needs to be fully accessible by an agent, so I can collaborate with the agent on the video, on the transcript. It can fix just my transcript based on what I'm talking about, because sometimes Whisper doesn't perfectly translate things. Like Ciak, you can see here, is not actually what I meant, right? Which is hard to translate. So I could actually give it even a vocabulary. I didn't do that, but I can just go in here and say this is Ciak, right? Or I could have told my agent, just go through the transcript and like all the occurrences of Ciak or so, like just fix them. Or other occurrences based on vocabulary. So you can see now I can basically create these like little clips in here. What I can also do is I can also do some type of zooming. That was the other thing that I often do, is like you have an angle in here, like the clips. I could go here and say, add some zoom, like maybe a little bit of smaller zoom, and just zoom into that part up here, for instance, right? I can kind of increase the zoom level if I want to. So it zooms in like this. Actually, let me just go like here and then save this. And so whenever I go here now, you can see it zooms in. There's some final things here, some more small details which I would want to fix. Like the zooming here has like a bit of like a weird like effect. So some of these things still need to be polished, but I'm actually pretty happy what I have so far. Another part is like captions. I just want to be able to add captions to all of these. I already have the transcript. I just want to have these overlaid. And so let me actually just like do a test export, right? So this is the video. If I go and say renders, I can have different formats, the usual ones that I usually use, or just like do render. And it's now going to actually export these videos with the caption on it. And so now I have the final rendering. I can just go and play this one here. All right, so this is a test recording. You can see the captions here. Potential YouTube video I'm producing, or maybe I'm going to even post on Twitter. I don't even know yet. What I want to show off is how Ciak, this video editor, is clipping things. And so you can see the zooming. Okay, you can see the rejected clip was not included, so it just like went into the final clip. And so the video is edited, I'm done. So I don't have to go in and manually kind of like edit all these different little bits. And because it is agentically controllable, I can also go to Claude, right? I could go here and launch a Claude session and say MCP. This should have the Ciak MCP connected. So use the Ciak MCP to add a Remotion overlay. First video saying Ciak demo starts. Something like that. Remotion overlays was actually something that I wanted to have. I use Remotion heavily. It's such a nice project. You should try it out. And so what this can do is I wanted my agent to be able to kind of like create some scene in a Remotion and automatically overlay on some part of the video, either in between the clips or on top of the clips in a transparent fashion. And so it should just go now and actually interact with my Ciak editor and add the Remotion overlay. I actually never tested this live, so let's see how this goes. And so now you can see it added the overlay. Let's jump back. You can see there is a small chip in here that tells or visualizes and says like there's an overlay happening in here. And so if I extract this here, I didn't build this in yet to the actual preview frame in here, so it would show up there as well. So let's just render the video super quickly. And so now if I open a video, you can see here this animation coming up that has been done automatically by this Remotion overlay that has been built into like Ciak in this case. And so this is one example of the things that I wanted to automate, which otherwise is actually quite some work. Like you need to do it in Remotion, you copy it over, make sure transparency works, etc. These are just automated workflows that are things that I use often, and so I wanted to have them. A similar thing is also, and let me just go into this video here. This is a more legit video that I actually published, so go watch it on my Twitter feed. So this was a rough one. You can see how many I rejected in here. I tried a bunch of things that didn't work out, so I just like kept cutting. There's actually like, when I record, I have like a reject latest shortcut, so I can just like always reject the latest one until I have a good fit. So let's just kind of like hide them for now. But what I wanted to have is like a way where I can shift and click, for instance, on this session and on this one here, and extract this as a short. So let's say short demo. And this is going to now extract the video, resize it based on the definition of what the short should look like for me, and show it now in vertical form. And so you can see now, I have my face at the top, I have the screen at the bottom. Obviously, I need some controls, like here, for instance, the screen here doesn't show anything. So I want to have something like this, so I can zoom in a bit more. So that will be what will be shown. The preview here is not perfect, right? Because it still shows the entire thing here, not the actual bar. But like I need to fix it. So basically, this will be what will be shown roughly. Again, like I have the captions on here, and I can just go and render it. And so if I render this now, and I play this now, you can see I have now the vertical format. I have the captions in between in here, and the window zoom below. And so this is something that I can now export and upload to YouTube. And it will work perfectly. If I would already have like the amount of clips that I wanted to show, I could even go ahead and just let the agent do it for myself. So another thing I didn't show is like how I can actually place my face or like the overlay layout in here. So I can go in here and just change this. This is also based on different rotations that I usually have. So either just screen, face at the bottom, face at the top, full face, that's it. Those are the usual things that I always did and kept repeating, copy and pasting, or have some shortcuts in my video editor. But it's just things that I don't want to kind of care about. Like it just should just work automatically. And there's a bunch of other things in here, like seeing how much the size of this video rendering is, because all of these are actually being produced in here a folder. So there's basically such a session folder which contains the final exports with the transcripts and everything, but also the individual clips, etc. This is basically a session file as well, where the software actually works on. So this is kind of like almost like your recording session with the various details. And so because these can be pretty large, I have some basically amenities in here where I can just go and say, well, I compress this one, just archive this. And so we just like compress it and like make it smaller on my disk. So I just keep the necessary parts that I need to have to. So yeah, that is basically what I did. I'm pretty excited because like it works really, really nicely. I also let Claude create a super quick architecture diagram of like what this looks like. I'm not going to go too deep into the thing how I built this. I might actually create a follow-up session of how I created this. All of this sits in my private NX monorepo. So that is actually a huge advantage because you have all the things in the same repo. And the agent will just find things, can even reuse things. I built a bunch of other apps which reuse some of the screen capturing and transcribing mechanisms that Ciak uses, but in another context. So that is a really powerful mechanism. And so here's just like a super high level architecture report from Claude. Like these titles are so cringe. This is crazy. But like, just to give you an idea, right? So there's the editor, which is the browser-based one, which is just a 10-stack application. There's the CLI, which is a very thin one that does just like status checks, can launch the application, can stop it, can diagnose like the communication with OBS. And then there's obviously the AI agent, which is not the client that I built, clearly, but that interface either via the CLI or via the MCP endpoint with the application, and can control almost every aspect of the application, which was like one of the things that were super important for me. So down here you see the MCP tools, which are 37 tools that are being exported by Ciak, from just getting the overall state of like sessions and like list them and create new sessions, to getting the transcripts, getting different takes, but also this part here, which is getting the individual frames. And this actually turned out really helpful when even developing the application. For instance, when I developed the zoom part, it just used the frame to test itself whether the zoom works, because it can go through and look at each individual frame, and if the zooming was not properly done, it could just reiterate. I didn't even have to tell it, look, the zoom is broken or it doesn't work the way I expected. It just did it on its own, which is kind of like that loop engineering that a lot of people talk about. But clearly this is also important for the agent just to see what is the video, take screenshots and see whether it actually matches what we expect. Obviously also even things like starting recording. I haven't used these just yet, but this could actually turn out useful to just automatically record part of a screen. Let just agent do it. And then obviously the whole cutting thing. So it can go through and cut the clips on your own. I could tell agent, go through the transcript, cut out all the pieces where I'm kind of like messing up or something based on a transcript, and cut it exactly on those points in the final video. So we'll be able to do it. And then a bunch of other things, basically. I don't want to go through all these parts. But one thing that is important to me is like, I didn't want to build the full set into Ciak either. Like here you see, for instance, the shipping part, right, where you render things. So I could have just like added a button in here for like actually pushing this up to YouTube. I mean, I might even, because it's such a very common use case, but it's even more powerful by having this MCP, because I can then just like, while doing other stuff with my agent, say like exported video, the transcript and everything is there, log it into my Obsidian as I usually do, so I can have it for other information, like as a context for other parts and other sessions later, and then go push it up to YouTube. I have a small CLI that I built to do that, to add the chapters and all those things, because it can do it, right? It knows where the video lives, it has a transcript, can create chapters out of it, push it up, and I will then go in and create a title, proposal for it, etc. So this is important because the agent needs to be able to control the application, which is such a vital and like important thing nowadays, and I highly recommend everyone doing that. But yeah, that's it. I didn't want to go too... And so in terms of the rest of the architecture, basically all of this interface is done with this Ciak server, which has all the different like pieces of like doing the routing and the whole UI layer, of course, exposing the MCP endpoint. And then below you see a bunch of like core packages that I use in here for transcription and Remotion and all those things that we have seen. This is a really important part here. This is the FFmpeg library, which without that you wouldn't do these things. Like, this is such a powerful library for doing video editing. And so even if now you have a video from some other video recorder or whatever, you can tell Claude uses FFmpeg to analyze that video, do some cutting out of silences, etc. It is already really good at doing that type of stuff. And then there's obviously the whole interface with OBS via the WebSocket, the Whisper, transcription, and the Remotion stuff. And all of this gets stored in this session directory, which is basically the working environment of the application where it stores all the blocks and all the session data and clips, etc. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, main goal here was to inspire you to try similar things, how I was inspired by seeing Matt Pocock doing something like that, which I wouldn't have attempted probably otherwise. And I'm going to probably follow up, the more I think about it, I'm going to probably follow up with a video on how I built it. So in the monorepo, how I actually plan out these sessions, how they run. Most of them actually run completely independently, even overnight. I'm not kidding. It's kind of mind-blowing, but like, that's how it works. And then obviously there's parts where you just need to iteratively go over, like some UI pieces especially that kind of felt odd, like where you then iteratively go over with your agent and fix them accordingly. So yeah, stay tuned for the next video. Subscribe. Go follow me on Twitter. I'll definitely post it there, and see you in the next one. Stay tuned. Peace.